For the latest in high-octane metal, Metal Moose. You've been weighed, you've been measured, you've been found wanting. Metal Moose. For the latest in high-octane metal, Metal Moose. Visit them on Facebook at Metal Moose Radio for weekly podcasts and more up-to-date information and events. Metal Up. Metal Moose.
Hello?
Hi, this is Lisa.
Hey, Lisa, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing today?
Man, I'm doing great. I really appreciate you taking a few minutes to talk to me.
Well, I know that you're coming to Houston pretty soon. So I know that you're going to be here on the January 20th, I believe, at BFE?
That's it. Correct.
Okay. Now, can you give me a little bit of a brief history for those that don't know about Tora Tora?
Sure, absolutely. We're based out of Memphis, Tennessee, and we started in the late '80s. We're all four of us are high school friends. Two of us went to one local high school, and two of us went to another area in Memphis. And the bass player and guitar player, Keith Douglas, is guitarist, Patrick Francis on bass. They had been friends since they were children, third grade or something. So, and they grew up going to concerts at our hometown Coliseum, going to see everybody from Journey to Van Halen to Iron Maiden and Judas Priest, everybody, all the rock bands that were coming out. So they got to go through all those experiences together, and just fell in love with music. And we're fans from the beginning. All four of us are huge fans of music. So we're really lucky, man. We've been friends for almost 30 years. We can't believe we're saying that. Time has flown by. Right. And we got to start out doing music together and go through some incredible experiences together. And the opportunity for us to be out and still be playing shows and coming out on the road all these years later, just something that we don't take for granted. We feel really, really lucky, and we're super pumped to come to Texas, man. We spent a bunch of time there, earlier in our career when we were touring a lot. Uh-huh. We spent a lot of time in Texas. We toured with the Dangerous Toys guys, so we had a real close connection to all the folks down there. And I actually used to live in Houston. I lived down there for 1 year when I was in 8th grade. I lived out in Clear Lake City.
Oh, okay.
So I got a real special place in my heart for Texas. I loved it. That was one of the greatest summers of my life. So I had a great time being there and going to school down there. And so I'm looking forward to it. We had a ton of support from Z-Rock that was based down in Texas. So right. We did a lot of shows with them, and they did a lot of promotion for us back in the day. So we have a ton of fun memories of just being down there and spending time with people and being on the road and passing through. We stayed pretty busy for about 6 years while we were on A&M. We just told them that we didn't want to go home if they would help us, right. Leave us on the road, that we wanted to keep doing that. But basically, man, we were just a garage band, four guys that we had an influence of music and loved it, and we got together. And Keith and John and Patrick had actually had a band before the Tora Tora stuff. They were a couple of years older than me, so they had some experience playing out and recording and stuff. And I kind of got recruited by Patrick. He went to high school with me, and they were looking for a singer, so they were starting a new project. And I was kind of playing in a high school band, a little garage band, and they said they were going to audition some folks. So I went over there, and
mm-hmm.
It's pretty intimidating. I've been thinking about this a lot. I guess we've just kind of been doing a bunch of shows lately, so I've been thinking about all that. But I went in and was kind of intimidated. They were older and a little more experienced, but there was something about, when the four of us got together and started playing, that we just felt like it was something special. And so we got together and started playing a few shows and got a following right away because we had two high schools, two groups of students coming to see us. So we immediately had a big following. So that made us attractive to other bands and stuff that were on the scene at the time. They knew that we would get some people, some asses in seats. So
Right.
that was a big deal that we didn't realize, you know, as we do retrospect and think back on it, that was a big deal. And we owe all of our friends back then, you know, in Memphis, they deserve a lot of the credit for us having any success at all. It was because they were coming out and showing up at those gigs early on and you know, proving to the venue owners and the promoters and all that stuff that we would have a crowd there. And so those people actually made our band. And so we owe them a debt of gratitude for that, for sure. And so we just we kind of had our own little culture that we built. You know, we had a following of people that would follow us around, and we had a warehouse where we threw parties for people that were underage that couldn't get into clubs. We had a rehearsal place that was big enough to hold. We built a stage on one end of it, and you know, it'd be a few hundred people there. And we actually showcased for the record companies in our own rehearsal place, so that was kind of cool. But we kind of had built that culture, and it was kind of like everybody was family and friends, and they were out supporting us. And, you know, we spent a lot of time growing up together and growing up in the scene there. So, but that translated into us getting a record deal. And, I mean, we, you know, couldn't believe it. I mean, we still think to this day it was like getting hit by lightning, you know.
Right.
It was pretty amazing for guys like us. So, the guitar player and I were cutting grass for a living and riding around with lawnmowers and back of a pickup. And we were like, man, wouldn't it be crazy if we could record some songs and go in the studio? And we were lucky enough, we won a talent competition, like a Battle of the Bands thing. We had a huge crowd that was there cheering for us and all that kind of stuff. And so we got to go in, and part of the prize was going in the studio. So we got to go in and do that. And it was just amazing, man. It was, you know, it went from, wouldn't it be great if we could go in and be in a real recording studio and all that, to wouldn't it be crazy if we actually got signed and put records out on the radio and all that stuff. And then it was like, it all just kind of happened, you know, kind of organically kind of came together. So it was incredible. And there's not a day that goes by I don't think about something that has to do with, you know, our experiences. We were really lucky. We had great mentors. We did all of our recording at Ardent Studios in Memphis. And there was a producer, a young guy named Paul Ebersole, that actually was the engineer for that prize winning recording session. And he was helping us do some recording, and he ended up asking us if we would be interested in, you know, doing a production deal with the studio and letting them shop us and all that kind of stuff. So they kind of became our middleman to the record labels. And so it was just crazy, man. I mean, I could talk your ear off about it all day. It was a wild experience, man. I'm really lucky. I think about it, and I kind of just brought up Ardent and everything is because the guy that ran the studio, John Fry, was kind of like a father figure to us. And he took us in a little office and drew a big pile on the wall and, you know, cut a little sliver out and said, you know, that's you, and this is going to be everybody else. It's going to be dipping in your pocket. And
Right.
we just said, well, where do we sign up? We want to go do this. So we loved it. And so we did all of our recordings there for all the demos and all the master recordings for all of our projects were done at Ardent, you know, from about 88 to about 94. So we spent about 6 years there growing up, and we were kind of college age. So that was kind of our college experience, was all there, being in the studio and being creative and all that kind of stuff. So it was pretty wild. If we weren't out playing a show somewhere, we were back there driving them nuts at the studio, you know, trying to get in and do some recording.
Right. So what are some of your musical influences?
Well, man, we're all over the place. Our common thread is the classic rock stuff, you know, Cheap Trick and Bad Company, Aerosmith, Zeppelin. Those were the, you know, cover songs that we were kind of working up. Keith, our guitar player, was a huge Randy Rhoads fan. Patrick loved Steve Harris from Iron Maiden, and John, was crazy about Rush and John Bonham, and most of the pretty regularly mentioned folks. But individually, we all had different influences, and definitely one of mine was my family. I didn't realize it until I got older, but they were very musical. We were all from the Delta down in Mississippi, and they were kind of like porch pickers. They played piano and guitar and sang gospel music and bluegrass and R&B, all styles. But I thought everybody's family was like that. It was just ingrained in me since I can remember. My grandfather playing Mississippi John Hurt records and us jumping around dancing in the living room. And I just thought everybody's family played something, and when they got together, it was just part of our life growing up. So they were a huge influence on me. And my aunt Melissa and my uncle Danny, they started teaching me guitar kind of when I got interested in that. Showed me a few chords on that. And they were listening to stuff like Neil Young and James Taylor and the Eagles and Boston and Skinner and stuff like that, And they kind of got me started. And I remember my aunt sitting around with me playing some Journey, like Infinity, off that Infinity record, some songs off that.
Yeah.
And she probably was a little closer to my age. She was older, but she was close to my age. But she was definitely a major influence on me that I didn't realize what a big impact she was having until, a few years down the road.
Right. I know when I was listening to, the first songs off your first album, it sounded like it had a lot of 80s influences, like Journey.
Oh, yeah. I loved Steve Perry, but I loved, like, Janis Joplin and Zeppelin. I remember my next-door neighbor in Memphis gave me, this lady, neighbor gave me Physical Graffiti, the vinyl, double album, and I remember going in my room and turning it on, putting headphones on, and sitting down and just going, "Oh my God, what is this?" I heard, they're popular things that you'd hear on the radio, but I hadn't like dug in deep.
Right.
And so that one had a big impact on me. And then as we got older, we were kind of a garage band at the beginning, like everybody.
Right.
When we were starting out. By our second record, we were a little more seasoned. We had been on the road for 2 years, played all over the place, and had gotten a little bit, I guess, a little more confident in our abilities, playing wise and all that kind of stuff,
right,
as writers and performers. And when we came back, we started writing, and I think we were a little more comfortable creatively and also in the studio. Just we had kind of gone through that process. The first album was a little nerve-wracking because it was our first time in there, but the second time we had a little bit better idea of the things that we wanted to do. And that kind of opened us up to some co-writing and some opportunities to work with people like the Memphis Horns. So we started backtracking out of, our era of music and the stuff that had been recorded in Memphis, even at Ardent, that we didn't realize a bunch of the Stax stuff had been done there. And that's when we found Otis Redding and all the Stax music and all that. So that was a big influence on me too. That second album, Wild America, that we did. We spent a lot of times. The Memphis Horns were super great dudes. They would come and do pre-production with us at our rehearsal studio that we had, and just tell us stories about riding around with Otis Redding and all kind of just wild stories. But we felt like we had known them our whole life when we met them. They were just super great guys, and Wayne and Andrew we ended up playing their 25th anniversary with them, and then we invited them to come and play a show with us, and we stayed in touch with them outside of the just recording sessions. So, and Wayne, until he passed away, was a dear friend of mine. So, we had a lot of good times together.
Now, when you have written the previous albums, was that mostly a collaborative effort between the four of you?
Yeah, we kind of, every song kind of comes different. we've kind of always, I guess Keith and I were kind of the driving forces of the writing, you know, and it was really funny. I was kind of the acoustic, you know, softer ballad person, you know, and he was kind of the aggressive guy. And we kind of started bringing that out of each other. You know, I started picking up the guitar and doing some riffs on it, and he started, you know, strumming around doing some acoustic stuff as kind of we grew up as writers and stuff. But overall, it's pretty collaborative. We may come in with the main ideas, but we always look forward to Patrick and John, you know, contributing their parts. We like to maybe get together and get the arrangements together, and then we'll go in as a band and kind of sit down. But you know, more times than not, most of the time we've done a ton of pre-production and all that stuff before we go into the actual studio setting. And you know, I'm showing my age, but a long time ago there was, you know, the days of you would block the studio out for 8 weeks or something, or months at a time, and go in and do projects. And we were a little more leisurely approaching the creative process back then, and it's just it's so different than the world is now. You know, you have to do everything much quicker, be more efficient, and all that kind of stuff nowadays. So, but back then it was definitely a collaborative, you know, effort.
So, when you're making your albums in the past, what was your favorite part of making the album?
Oh man, gosh, man, it was all a lot of fun. It was our job, you know. We spent a lot of time just together in our rehearsal places, you know, just banging out all the arrangements and ideas. Man, the favorite part, I don't know, man. I think it's actually getting in and getting the tracks done. To me, it was always awesome just to hear how everything came together in the studio. You know, we owe a lot of how great the records sound and everything to the engineers that were working with us. They made us sound like $1 million. And I mentioned Paul Ebersole. He was part of the first record. There was a guy named Joe Hardy who had done a bunch of the ZZ Top, like Afterburner and all those records. Mm-hmm. Both of those guys co-produced our first record, and they were super patient. You know, it was a new experience for us. We had been worked in some studios around Memphis, but going in and doing it for our major record debut, you know, was pretty intimidating, and we wanted to do a good job. And so we were still, you know, getting used to our instruments and stuff, you know. Although we had played a ton and been together for a few years, going in and doing it in this capacity was a little bit of a different undertaking. So they were awesome. They gave us good guidance. And then, like I said, you know, after working with them, we worked on the first record for a year. So I think we started recording in like 88, and it came out the summer of 88, and then it came out in May of 89. So mm-hmm. we had spent a lot of time, wrote a ton of songs. We probably wrote, 50 or 60 songs, and then whittled it down to about, 15, and then went in and really worked on just getting those exactly like we wanted them. So it was a big process, but going through that was such a big learning experience. That's what made the next, couple of projects when we came in, it was so fun. We kind of already had a template of, okay, this is what kind of timeline we're going to be on, and this will be our approach. Although each project was different, and, by the time we got to our second record, we were pretty busy on the road. So we were still doing a lot of shows out of town and trying to balance, pulling all our ideas off of napkins and mini cassettes and
right.
wherever we could get something put down. So it was, those parts were challenging, but I don't know, man. I think the favorite part to me is just getting in there with the guys in the creative realm and just sitting down and seeing what we could come up with. So what do we want to say, and what would be a good picture of us where we were at the time, and all that part makes it really exciting,
Now, when you were writing these songs, which ones were the easiest? Which one was like the easiest that just kind of like flowed through, and which one was kind of like harder for you to get down?
Oh man, we worked on our songs a lot back then. The one I probably One for the Road was probably one of the fastest. It was kind of like just a fun, party and song, and we wrote that one pretty quickly. I think Keith had the music for a while, and we just started messing around with that one day. But I don't know. Some of the other ones were a bit more challenging. We had a few songs that we worked on that would take long periods of time. I think it just depended on the lyrics. A lot of times, I think our arrangements and all those kind of things were falling into place pretty good back then. But our lyric, it was funny. A lot of people say you have your whole life to write your first record, and it's like, what do you want to say? And I think we were just trying to figure out like what was it that we wanted to say in these songs, if we were going to do it in those 12 songs that we picked. And we were pretty lucky. I had a friend of mine that he helped co-write on the first record. That was actually a friend of mine that lived down the street from me in Memphis, and he would walk his dog every night at like 10 o'clock and smoke a cigarette, so I would like sneak out my window. I was supposed to be in bed, and we'd just sit out in the driveway and stare at the sky and talk about. He was a huge, more progressive rock kind of fan, and I like Zeppelin stuff, so we was always arguing about that. But his name was Thomas Howard, and he wrote Phantom Rider that was on our first record, which was a big regional hit for us. It was on a little EP before it came out on Surprise Attack.
Right.
And so he had written on that. He wrote on a song called Hard Times that was a kind of a straight blues. And then he wrote on Being There, which was another ballad. But he had just a stack of lyrics at his house, and I remember us sitting around with guitars and stuff and strumming, and some of his stuff was like poetry, and we kind of sat around and we said, I wonder what we could do with this chord progression, and we found some of his lyrics and kind of worked out on some of those. So he definitely contributed on that side. But it was more about just tweaking the arrangements, I guess, is what took the majority of our time, fitting what we wanted to say into that 3 or 4 minutes that we had to do it. So.
Now, you had a song, Dancing with Gypsies, that was on Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. What was that like?
That was amazing. We couldn't believe it. A&M was doing the soundtrack, so we had signed with them. So it was just the stars lined up. The universe was nice to us. I don't know how that actually all came in. But our A&R guy asked us if we'd like to submit a song for the soundtrack, and it was we had cut 4 demos through the production company, the shop, to A&M, and it was Love's a Bitch and Phantom Rider and Dancing with a Gypsy, and there was one other one I'm just drawing a blank on right now, but we submitted Dancing with a Gypsy, did that, have the opportunity to go on there, and it made it. So we were thrilled about that. We were on there with Extreme and a couple other A&M artists that really took off. So it was great, man. And it was a cool experience to, hear about the process. The film was getting ready and the soundtrack was getting ready, and that we could go to the theaters and take our friends and, see it and hear our song in it and all that kind of stuff. It was a highlight for sure.
So over the years, what's been the most memorable experience you think you've had that's stuck with you since?
Oh man, there's been a ton of them. Oh man. Probably doing some of the live stuff, just getting to be with the fans, seeing them sing back to us. I mean, I remember we were in Florida. Can't remember if we were in Miami. But we had played a show. We came out. We thought we got robbed. The band had drawing all over it. They knocked the mirrors off, tore the antennas off, and all that kind of stuff. And we were like, "Oh my gosh, we've been robbed!" And they said, "Did you not hear? Your song went to #1 on MTV today." And we were like, "Oh my gosh, man!" So we didn't even know. We were so busy. We were running around playing shows and stuff. We didn't know that was pretty memorable. Getting our first bus, I remember vividly, like it's happening yesterday. The bus coming around the corner, and we were playing in D.C., and I walked outside to smoke a cigarette, and I like looked down the street and I saw a bus turn the corner, and it was like glistening, like the sun was bouncing off of it and stuff. And I just screamed, at the whole building. I was like, the bus is here. I mean, we were all just freaking out. We've been driving around in a van in a Hertz Penske following us around for, the past year and a half or whatever. So that was a pretty big moment. Seeing the video on MTV, that was pretty huge. I mean, we couldn't believe that. Getting to actually shoot the video in Memphis, the first one, Walking Shoes, was pretty amazing. We've had there's so many good ones. I don't know. The biggest part to us, though, I think, is about the fans. Because without them, I mean, we don't have the opportunity to do any of the stuff. And
right.
To go out and see them, and them singing back to us, and it's like something that I remember sitting on the edge of my bed strumming a chord, and it turned into that song Phantom Rider, and I'm like, man, it went from this to I could stand up in front of everybody and they're all singing every word back to me. That's pretty crazy.
That's pretty awesome.
So all that's probably the some of the biggest moments for us is just getting the chance to get up there and be with them. And we've been a little more active the past 2 years. Our bass player Patrick kind of had a health scare at the end of last year.
Yeah.
The end of 2016, and so he made a complete recovery. He got a great clean bill of health, and so his perspective changed, and so did ours. We're not spring chickens anymore. So I mean, just talk about your health and our lifestyles and all that kind of stuff that we used to have a long time ago. It kind of changes your perspective. But anyway, he was all good, and we had already been talking about doing some recording and just seeing what it would feel like to get back in the room with each other to write, because we haven't put out any project in 25 years. We've done some unreleased material out on just for nostalgic reasons and for us for organizational purposes, just so we know what time period it's from.
Right.
But we haven't done any recording, and so when he kind of had that health scare, that kind of gave us an opportunity to get together. We did a fundraiser for him, and we were all talking, and we said, you know what, this just kind of solidifies that we should, make sure that we make an effort to spend some time with each other. And so we did. We jumped on the Monsters Rock Cruise, 2017.
Mm-hmm.
We got a lot of activity out of that. Got a lot of offers for shows, people that just said, we didn't know you were still active or if you're even still around, but if you want to come play. So that was great. And we're going to release a new project on Frontiers Records at the end of 2018, beginning of 2019.
Okay, yeah,
So
because I know that you're coming up on 30 years, so I was wondering if you were going to do something special to commemorate that.
Yeah, we are. Frontiers contacted us back in the summer of 2017, and we started doing some negotiations with them, just trying to see logistically how it would work. I'm based in Nashville, and the rest of the band's in Memphis still. They're still based out there. And so we were just trying to figure out with families and work and all that kind of stuff how it would pan out. And we figured out a way to make it work, and we're thrilled. We've already written 4 or 5 songs to just start off the process, of kind of getting back in the room. But
mm-hmm.
it's kind of picking up right where we left off. I mean, we walked in and everybody was just, excited, and we had all kind of woodshedded some ideas in case we ever had an opportunity to record together again. So we came in with like a full boat of ideas and just kind of started throwing things out in the pile and running through some things. And
is it a completely different sound?
I'm sorry?
Is it a completely different sound than the previous albums?
No, it sounds like us, man, believe it or not.
Uh-huh.
It sounds like right where we left off with the Revolution Day sessions. We definitely, everybody interprets, all the experiences that we've had since then, that'll definitely have an influence over the kind of lyrics, content, and all that kind of stuff that we have. When we were younger, it was, a little more focused on maybe chasing girls around, and I don't know, I don't mean this in an ugly way, but just life has a way of, the experiences that you have changing your perspectives and stuff. So
right.
I think that'll be, but we'll definitely have that bluesy, the southern hard rock kind of influence. I mean, it's just there. We can't get away from it. I mean, that's just who we are when we get together. So that part makes it exciting. And so we're thrilled about that. So we'll be out promoting that record, hopefully the end of 2018, first of 2019. And until then, we're just going to, stay busy. We're trying to be selective and pick some places that we really want to go touring-wise that were good markets for us.
Right.
Texas is definitely one that we'll come and visit a few times because we had a ball down there. And hopefully we're going to get to come back after the 20th. We'll be back down to see you guys again, maybe at the end of the year or something. So, but we're thrilled, man, just to get a chance to talk to you about it and all that kind of stuff. It makes me real happy. We're real proud of the music that we made before this new project. And, hopefully the fans that are out there that have stayed in touch with us and have followed us will enjoy this new project.
Now, what would you give advice to upcoming new, musicians, being in the business, almost 30 years?
Man, I think it's relationships is the key, man. It's the relationships with your fans, and it's the relationships you build within the industry. I have friends of mine that I've known for 30 years that, we grew up together. One of them's a promoter, and he started out booking shows when I was singing in a band, and he's still doing it, to this day. And we still talk to each other. And the relationships with your fans that's the key, man. You got to value them and just acknowledge them and know that without them, you're nothing. I mean, you're just a dude standing around with a guitar. But if you have
right.
fans, you have people, and you have customers and clients. And I think it's just about being authentic too, and just being yourself. And everything these days is based on being a brand and all those kind of things. And you just have to. It kind of goes back to what the beginning of this conversation. What you were saying is, tell me about the beginning. Your band and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Is we wanted to create a sense of community, a place for people to go. We were all underage. We couldn't get into bars to see music, so we wanted to create a place where everybody could go and be together, and you were free to do whatever you wanted to. There wasn't anybody judging anybody or whatever you were into, and hanging out and hearing some music. And we got there, and it kind of created this family, of people that we would always look forward. We kind of always spaced our shows out where we weren't playing, every weekend. We made it kind of a special occasion for us to get together.
Right.
And that's kind of how we've always approached our career as a band and as artists, is that we wanted it to be a special occasion for all of us to get together. And we definitely value it and recognize it because, I guess we're getting a little long in the tooth. We're a little bit further down the road than everybody. And so we respect that they're choosing to put their time and commit it to us. And I think that's the most important thing for somebody young and little is just, value those relationships and be authentic. If you don't, everybody reads through all that. If you're just a super hard salesperson, nobody
right.
likes that kind of vibe.
Well,
if you're
exactly.
just going out to do it for the money. But if you're doing it just for the love of what you're doing and the love of the music and all that kind of stuff, I mean, it resonates with people. So
Now, if I was
it's a challenging.
The Houston show, what do I expect to see when I open the doors and walk in?
I think you'll enjoy it, man. We're a straight ahead kind of blues rock band, and you're going to have a great time. We invite everybody. It's kind of like I said, we bring that sense of community everywhere we go. So, and we'll definitely want to hang with you when you come. We want to spend some time with you. So, but it's just, it's straight ahead. It's blues infused, heavy rock, man.
Now, where can people get your music?
You can go to toratoramusic.com, and you can get merch and find links to all of our YouTube channels and pictures, and you can look us up on Facebook, Tora Tora on Facebook. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, and we love connecting with people. So we're hoping to just stay in contact with everybody this year and keep everybody engaged in what's going on. We'll keep them in the loop of all the activities we have going on. So.
Okay, and then you're only doing one show in Texas, and that's in Houston, correct?
Yeah, that's it. We're just flying down for the 20th, and then hopefully we'll be back at some point, but that's the only one that's on the books right now.
Okay. January 20th at BFE? January
20th, BFE Rock Club, and you can go to Mighty Fish Entertainment to get your tickets. And, man, I just appreciate you talking to me today. Thank you for taking out time to talk with me, and I look forward to meeting you in person when I get down there.
Yes, it'll be pretty exciting. I'm pretty excited, and I'd like to, give a shout-out to, Mighty Fish Entertainment and Divine Right Live Entertainment, and the Cosmic Entertainment Records and Right Way Entertainment Records for helping us out. And then the bands that are supporting you, Tame Fury, The Unled, Underage, Starlight. I think it's going to be a pretty good show. I know there's going to be like a pretty big day. I think there's going to be bands outside, bands inside. So.
Oh, man. Well, we can't wait to get down there and see everybody. Y'all be sure and tell everybody to come on out. We'll have a great time.
Well, thank you for sitting down and taking a few minutes to get this interview. And hopefully everybody will come and it will be a pretty big show for you guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lisa. I look forward to talking to you again when I get down there.
All right. And I look forward to seeing you on the 20th at BFE.
Okay. You too, man. Take care of yourself.
All right.
Good talking to you.
You too. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye.
For the latest in high-octane Metal Moose. You've been weighed, you've been measured, you've been found wanting. Metal Moose. For the latest in high-octane Metal Moose. Visit them on Facebook at Metal Moose Radio for weekly podcasts and more up-to-date information and events. Metal Up. Metal Moose.